In the past few years, the smartphone prices have dramatically come down. The entry of e-commerce giants like Flipkart has made it possible for the companies to price their phones as low as possible. Flipkart, offering their phones exclusively, has cut down all their major retailer margins. Started by Motorola, followed by Xiaomi, the game of aggressive pricing only gets interesting. Hi there everybody, this is Fred from Phone Geek, and you're watching my list of best smartphones you can get for under 10,000 rupees, the later quarter of 2014. There are 5 phones on the list: Asus Zenfone 4, Xiaomi Redmi 1S, Motorola Moto E, Xiaomi Redmi Note, and Asus Zenfone 5. I'll be rating all the 5 phones in 6 different categories. I'll also list out the pros and the cons of each phone so that you can decide what you want on your phone and what you don't. Zenfone 4. It's the cheapest of all, or let's say it's the lowest priced, because it really doesn't feel that cheap. It has an Intel dual-core 1.2 GHz processor, a 4-inch screen, 5-megapixel rear camera, front VGA camera, dual SIM, 8GB internal expandable, and 1600 mAh battery. Starting off with the build quality, not fantastic, it's not bad either. You get what you pay for. So build quality gets a 4. The display is a 4-inch panel, 800 by 480 resolution, not that great. Viewing angles are bad, so nothing special about it. Just gets the things done. Display gets a 3.5. Software is where things get interesting. The current version of Zen UI runs on 4.4.2 KitKat. It's surprisingly snappy and it has a lot of built-in features which definitely come in handy. Now that Android Lollipop is out, Asus hasn't said any word about it. Considering the version of Android, software gets a 4. Camera is where things get bad. 5-megapixel rear camera just isn't good enough. You rarely use the front camera and the rear camera finally ends up with some inaccurate colors. Camera gets a 3.5. Battery, things just get worse. 1600 mAh battery just isn't enough. Just isn't enough to make a day through. Battery gets a 3.5. Phone's performance is great. The 1.2 GHz hyper-threading enabled Intel chipset handles multitasking with ease. PowerVR HTX 544MP GPU handles gaming just fine. Everyday usage shouldn't have any problems, but with the storage limitations you can just have 2 to 3 high graphics games. Performance gets a 4. And now the final verdict. Zenfone 4 is a decent package. You definitely get what you pay for. On the upside, we have the price and a snappy software. On the downside, poor battery and a poor screen. Considering the price, there are certain compromises you make, like the just existing front camera, so-so build quality, and those non-backlit capacitive buttons below the screen. Those aren't much of deal breakers, but they aren't too small to neglect either. And one last thing, this phone is available in 2 variants, one with the Soda Lime glass and the other with the Corning Gorilla Glass 3 protection. Make sure you pick up the Corning Gorilla Glass 1 because that extra 100 rupees you pay does make a lot of difference. Motorola Moto E, the original game changer. A solid phone, Android KitKat, and a promised Lollipop update, killer looks, and the promising Moto branding. All these packed in such a low price of 7,000. Motorola blew off all the barriers and proved low-priced devices need not necessarily be cheap to handle. It has a 1.2 GHz Snapdragon 200 dual-core processor, a 4.3-inch IPS LCD QHD screen with Corning Gorilla Glass 3 protection, 5-megapixel fixed focus rear camera, dual SIM capabilities, 4GB of internal storage, and a 1980 mAh battery. Build quality. For that 7,000 you pay, you get a solid build and water resistance for free. Yeah, that's true. It just need not be discussed. It's Motorola. Build quality is fantastic. Except for those squishy buttons and occasional misfits between back cover and the phone, there's nothing else to complain. Moto E scores an impressive 4.5 for build quality. Display. It's a 4.3-inch panel, 960 by 540 pixel resolution does make things look sharp enough. Sunlight visibility is acceptable and viewing angles are great. Colors are not so vibrant, but they are accurate. Display gets a 4.5. Software. It's almost stock Android with little to no customizations. The best part is the guaranteed lollipop update. It should be rolling out soon. So, software gets a 5.0 for the upcoming Android 5.0. Camera. The major shortcoming for the Moto E. There is no front camera, and the back 5-megapixel fixed focus camera, well, it just reminds me of those old cameras from Nokia. Close-up shots are always blurred due to lack of flashlight. Low light photos are okay, you can just barely see anything in them. So camera gets a 3. Battery is fantastic. 1980 mAh battery is a true performer. You always end up with 1.5 day on moderate usage. No matter how much you use your Moto E, you can always make a day or more with a full charge. Battery, being non-removable, gets a 4.5. Performance. It's snappy thanks to the stock Android 1.2 GHz Snapdragon dual-core processor. It has enough power to push through all the everyday apps. Adreno 302 GPU isn't very great, but it does its job pretty fine with casual gaming. Switching between apps might occasionally take more than usual time, but 1GB RAM is sufficient. Performance gets a 4. On the upside, there's a great build quality. You also get water resistance, Corning Gorilla Glass 3 protection, and stock Android with guaranteed updates. On the downside, we have the camera, and the storage is limited to 4GB, and well, you cannot just have all the games you need or all the apps you need at a time. You need to, even for testing games, we had to put one large game at a time, like one time Asphalt 8, one time FIFA. It was a little hiccup, but if you're a light user, then there shouldn't be a problem. You always have an SD card slot for all your photographs and music, etc. Apps cannot be moved to SD card, sadly. Well, it all depends on you. So for the final verdict, Moto E is definitely the game changer. Moto E blew away the barriers, but Redmi 1S blew away everything, literally. Its insane pricing drove people mad, and well, the same reflects in its sales on Flipkart. Out of stock in just seconds. In one word, you get way more than what you pay for. It has a 1.6 GHz quad-core Snapdragon 400 processor, yes, clocked higher than Motorola Moto G. A 4.7-inch IPS LCD 720p screen, 8-megapixel rear camera, 1.6-megapixel front camera, dual SIM, 8GB of internal storage, expandable via microSD, and a 2000 mAh battery. Build quality is as good as Moto E. Though it's a complete plastic phone, you get a solid feel. Buttons are tactile, materials used seem to be durable. It lies somewhere between Zenfone 4 and Moto E, but more inclined towards Moto E. My rating? 4. Display is brilliant. 4.7-inch 720p display is vivid and sharp. Brightness levels and sunlight visibility are good. You can choose between normal or brilliant mode for color saturation in display settings, which is a good thing. There is no problem with viewing angles, but bezels are a bit thick, and the capacitive buttons below the screen, they are not backlit. It is protected by drag and trail glass, which should keep off any scratches. Overall, display gets a 4.5. Software. Redmi 1S runs a custom version of Android called MIUI V5 based on 4.2.2 Jelly Bean out of the box, but KitKat update is already rolling out. The user interface is completely different, but it's still Android. MIUI's customizations run deep, and Xiaomi has put in every effort to make MIUI as beautiful and as functional as possible, and it definitely shows. It's a great user experience. You can download themes, choose components from each theme separately, or just apply the way it is. In spite of many changes and many overlays, MIUI never compromises when it comes to performance. So software gets a 4.5. Camera is an 8-megapixel sensor. It's above average, definitely way better than Moto E and Zenfone 4 and any phone below 8000. Front camera is 1.6 megapixel and it's pretty decent. MIUI camera app has a lot of features including manual controls for ISO, shutter speed, etc. in its advanced mode. So it's up to you to go easy or to go pro. Camera gets a 4. Battery is the weakest point of Redmi 1S. There is a 2000 mAh battery, but it always leaves you wanting more. Making one complete day is not possible in most cases. This appears to be a software issue, so let's hope that future updates might solve this problem. Battery 3.5. Performance is great. Redmi 1S specs are almost same as the last year's and this year's Moto G. They all have the same processor under the hood, so the same performance translates. But there are certain heating issues which might slow down the phone sometimes. We still need to wait for more software updates, so performance 4. For the final verdict, Redmi One S is fantastic. It has everything a mid-range phone has, but it's an entry-level phone. On the upside, we have the price and everything else other than the battery. On the downside, we have a poor battery and availability. Believe me, getting this phone on Flipkart is not an easy thing. The registration process has already created a group of MI haters. Finally, Redmi One S is that phone which you should not miss. Zenfone 5 is another iteration in Zenfone line of smartphones from Asus. It's feature-packed and has drawn attention in many aspects. It has a 1.6 GHz dual-core hyper-threaded Intel processor, 5-inch HD IPS display, 8 megapixel rear-facing camera, 2 megapixel front-facing camera, dual SIM capabilities, 8 GB of internal storage, expandable via microSD card, and a 2110 mAh battery. Build quality is good. It is slim, not very premium, but good enough not to feel cheap. It's entirely plastic. Metal in the front adds to the appeal. Overall, 4. Display is a 5-inch HD panel. Not the sharpest thing we've seen, but it keeps things sharp enough. Colors are not that vibrant, but easy on eyes. Brightness levels are fine, viewing angles are good, sunlight visibility is acceptable, but the capacitive keys are still not backlit, like the Zenfone 4. Overall, 4. Camera is an 8 megapixel sensor. Picture quality is very good, colors are accurate, and camera app is feature packed. Front camera can click some good selfies. Camera 4.5. Software is same as Zenfone 4. There are no notable additions over that. It's good looking, snappy, and has a few functional apps. It runs 4.3 Jelly Bean out of the box. KitKat update is rolling out. There is no word of lollipop from the manufacturer. So software gets a 4. Battery is considerably small. 2110 mAh battery just isn't long lasting. Making a complete day is not easy, but it keeps the device alive till evening. Battery gets a 4. Performance has no issues. Intel processor is surprisingly better than others at multitasking. Power VR GPU does things decent, but high quality graphic intensive games might stutter a little. Performance 4.5. Overall, it's a decent buy. It's not a memorable phone, say like the Moto G. It's just filling the gap in the 10,000 region, at least until Redmi Note arrives. There are plans from Xiaomi that Redmi Note would arrive in India by December 2nd. Redmi Note is the elder brother of Redmi One S. In almost everything, it's better than Redmi One S. It has a MediaTek 6592 octa-core chipset, which is clocked at 1.7 GHz, a 5.5-inch IPS LCD HD screen, 13 megapixel rear-facing camera, 5 megapixel front-facing camera, dual SIM capabilities, 8 GB internal storage, expandable via microSD, a 3100 mAh battery. Redmi Note excels in build quality. It's definitely well designed and well manufactured. It's completely plastic, but plastic never felt this premium before. Build gets a 4.5. Display is a 5-inch 720p panel. Though the resolution is low for its size, it manages to keep things sharp enough. It's also worth noting that even phones like HTC Desire 816 and Xperia T2 Ultra come with similar or larger screens and the same resolution, which are priced higher than 20,000 in India. There are no complaints about the display. After all, resolution is not all that makes a good display. Display gets a 4.5. Software is exactly the same what you see on Redmi One S. Only change is the easy mode, which when enabled creates a simple user interface which would be very helpful for elderly people. Thanks Xiaomi, now we can gift phones to our grandparents. Redmi Note receives updates before Redmi One S does, so that's one more plus point. Redmi Note comes with KitKat out of the box, unlike Redmi One S which comes with Jelly Bean. Software 4.5. Camera is a 13 megapixel sensor, which is on par with many other top-end phones. Picture quality is brilliant. Color reproduction is accurate, video recording is smooth, overall impressive, and a very high price to performance ratio. There is also a 5 megapixel front facing camera which does a brilliant job for taking selfies. Camera 4.5. Battery is a 3100 mAh battery. Okay, let me get this thing straight. When you use a Redmi Note, there's every chance that you would forget where you left your charger. It gave me an entire 2 days on a single charge. If you want a phablet with a great battery, stop this video right here and go buy yourself a Redmi Note. Battery, clean 5. Performance is not definitely what you get from a 10,000 phone. It's more like a premium device from a well-known brand, say an HTC Desire 816 or a Samsung Galaxy Grand 2. Sometimes Redmi Note might outperform those devices. True octa-core MediaTek 6592 chipset, does a great job. Gaming has no issues. Redmi Note can run pretty much everything you throw at it. Performance 4.5. For the conclusion, there is not much to say. If you want a phablet under 10,000, just go for it. There's no other go. And if you are looking for mid-range phablets, never forget to consider Redmi Note. It's definitely worth it. Before we conclude, let's talk about the pricing. Zenfone 4 and Redmi 1S are priced at 5,999. Moto E is priced at 6,999. Zenfone 5 and Redmi Note both are priced at 9,999. Redmi Note is the clear winner. If you don't want a big screen but you still want to spend 10,000, then you can go for Zenfone 5. But if your budget is around 6,000 to 7,000, if you want a great performance, go for Redmi 1S. If you want a great battery, go for Moto E. So that's all guys. This is Fred signing off. See you guys in the next video.